Hi guys, and thanks for watching what is already the 7th video in this series of tips and tricks to improve your riding. Today's question is from Tina, and she asked me for some advice on how to improve riding her canter. Now, of course, in order to ride a good canter, it's important that your horse can canter balanced and relatively uphill, rather than diving down on the forehand, just kind of running along, because you will always feel being pulled forward on such a horse. However, even if you do ride a horse like that, it is very helpful if you can, with your movement, direct the movement of your horse. And the main movement that I talk about in the beginning when I teach people to canter is how the pelvis of the rider should always follow the canter of the horse in a backwards circular motion. Now, the reality is a little bit more complicated because canter normally is a 3 or sometimes even a 4 beat gait. So we actually do have a separation on the two sides of our pelvis in the movement, like 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So it's not bilateral, symmetrical as in walk or trot. It's 1, 2 and then up. That is, however, sometimes for some people too complicated to think about or simply too fast to follow. So I recommend always to start as just thinking of your pelvis as one block on the canter, making a circular backwards motion. Now, the more circular this motion is, the more horizontal the canter is. If we start to think of a more uphill motion, we can ask our horse with our circle in our pelvis to make more of an oval shape, like an egg shape upwards. And if we want to have a more flat out fast canter, we can make that oval more forward. So we can actually play with the shape of the circular motion that our pelvis is making. Another very important tip is to allow your hands always to follow the motion of the canter. So in this video I will show you some footage that explains that in a little bit more detail. Have fun! One of the exercises that you can do to find that circular movement in your pelvis, if you have trouble riding that circle, is to take the reins in your outside hand and with your flat inside hand try to follow the movement of your pelvis, so that you kind of visualize with your hand this movement that your pelvis is making. It really helps to integrate that movement pattern in your brain and to find more balance and a more round circle in your seat. Then take the canter stance, very good. The canter is this big backward circle in your pelvis. Exactly, and you want to feel the bounce of the trampoline without lifting up your heels, and then allow your arms to follow the movement of your pelvis, or allow your arms to follow the movement of the horse, because they're kind of the same. Anyways, you can just see in my body I have to make the opposite circle as yours. So I have to make the forward where you do the backwards and scoop it up. There you go. There you go. And now play with the size and the direction of the circle. And, oops, there you lost your balance. Yeah. And see what happens when you make your circle more up, up. Exactly. Now you're telling the horse's front end to lift. And more forward. Yes. And now you're telling the horse to take a bigger stretch in the canter. Forward and out. Good. Yes. Alrighty, that's it. Thank you.
Much easier when I think about it also with my hands and not only the pelvis.
Yeah, so your hands and your pelvis really need to do the same thing.
Yeah.
So I actually love the use of a trampoline for these kind of exercises, and I can recommend everybody, if you don't have a small mini tramp, try to get one, because it's really, really valuable to practice these kind of movements on a trampoline so that you train your body and you train your brain, you make the connections. It gets way easier to do it on the horse afterwards. So this is an exercise I can really recommend to do in your stable with some friends to practice your canter moves. Have fun playing. Bye.